That's what we call that, spookyism.
Spookyism. We spoke about that.
We spoke about that
in one show.
We got to come on out of that.
We don't go for spookyism.
I don't go for that. You got to work and build and make something happen for yourself.
I wonder where we are on time for this show, and you wouldn't know that on your clock, would you?
Well, the time runs so fast. I think we probably got about another 5 minutes to talk about these pork chop eating preachers.
We're at 48, I think, over there on that clock.
Right.
So I think we got a little bit of time.
Right.
We'll see what happens. Now, let's see, that bottom picture went out.
Right.
I wonder why that happened. Was that on before?
Left it off.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right.
All right, so some of the issues that we talk about, I'll just go over these a little bit because I think you kind of... Well, you know, I had a real bad experience with the Disney company because I run the Earth Protector organization. And the Disney company, the sponsors of this rotten little product, little Mickey Mouse. So what I did is I contacted the Earth Protector animals. And there's Paddletail. He's the leader of the Earth Protector animals. And what he's going to do, because those beavers, you know, they can chew down a whole tree. And let me see if I can get that camera.
What is he chewing down on?
Huh?
What is he chewing down on?
Well, right around the pond, you know, they chew down the trees and everything. So we're going to get Paddletail and Mickey Mouse together. And that Paddletail, he's a real, because the Disney people, they're perverts. The whole company and everything that they represent is perversion. So Paddletail, he's going to get down on him, and he's going to rip off his little pecker and send it to Michael Eisner, who's the chairman of the board, or was, of the Disney Corporation that stole the Earth Protector properties. So here's Paddletail, and now Mickey Mouse, he's gone, and Paddletail is the champion because he bit off the pecker of the miserable Mickey Mouse. So that's that little thing. Sorry to digress a little bit, M-I-C-K. That's what they sell to children, huh?
M-O-U-S-C. I remember watching that garbage when I was
Mickey
little.
Mouse.
Mickey Mouse.
Well, we didn't know when we were little. We were helpless, you know. We were just prisoners in the house.
That's right.
Turn on the TV. That's what we got today. A lot of kids are babysat by the TV.
Right.
They sit there in front of the TV, they put it on, and they behave themselves.
And feeding the baby all this foolishness.
I see a kid get on a bus with his mother, and he had a little thing here.
Right.
And he was on that bus for over 20 minutes that I observed.
Right.
I'm heading home, and that glow was on his face, and there was some little game on.
Right.
And he was just like that for 20 minutes. Didn't make a sound. What a babysitter that is. But I got a hunch that this glow or the vibes or the energy coming off these electronic devices, not really healthy. They talk about not using that cell phone a lot right next to your head. If you're going to use a cell phone, get a bud or a little speaker kind of a thing, but don't hold that phone next to your head.
Well, a lot of those games are feeding the children foolishness. Like I got a nephew, he wears glasses. Nobody in the history of our family wore glasses, not for us the men, playing those computer games.
He has to have the glasses on to do that?
He had to have glasses on. Now we believe he was playing computer games too much. And I'm saying a lot of these computer games are not healthy for the child's eyes.
Okay, I got you.
Right.
Well, the TV set itself, you know,
Right,
I tell you, don't sit up close to the TV.
Right.
But a lot of kids, you know, they really get...
They mesmerized by the TV and what's on the TV. And like I said, a lot of these TV programs are feeding our children foolishness.
A lot of them mesmerize me when you get the right stuff on there. But, you know, I wanted to show a little piece about the World Trade Center collapse, 9/11 in 01, when the World Trade Center went down.
Right.
That didn't go down because some planes hit it, and a lot of people don't know that. They still believe the government story that these Arabs hijacked these planes, they ran into the building, and the gasoline was so hot that it melted the steel. Bullshit, total bullshit. These buildings were planned to go down. So here comes the World Trade Center demolition of Building 7. People didn't even know there were 7 buildings at World Trade Center. I think this was 2 towers. So here comes WTC 7. Bang. I want to talk to you about World Trade Center Building 7. There's a little shot, a little map of those buildings. You see the flashing World Trade Center Building 7, a 47-story building that was deliberately demolished for the insurance money.
Everyone has seen the Twin Towers number 1 and 2 of New York's World Trade Center fall on the morning of September 11, 2001. Few have seen the collapse of Tower number 7 later that day at 5:20 p.m. These images were broadcast on that day, but almost never after, so most people had to wait for citizens to bring them to us. Why is that? One reason may be because the rapid, symmetrical fall of this building looks like a controlled demolition. No planes hit number 7. It was damaged by debris and fire, but these injuries looked small. A controlled demolition would mean that someone much more powerful than a man in Afghanistan did it, because they would have had to gain access to this highly secure building days before 9/11. It is a fact that this tower fell in about 7 seconds on September 11, 2001, and in fact it fell quite smoothly and symmetrically. It is fact that the center fell a split second before the edges, which is important in controlled demolitions to pull the walls inward rather than out. These facts are backed by visual evidence that you can see now.
World Trade 7, functioning as the command center for the complex, housed giant diesel backup and oxygen systems, the mayor's protected emergency bunker, and offices for the CIA, Secret Service, Department of Defense, and Securities and Exchange Commission. Its other tenants were insurance companies, brokerages, and banks. No plane hit Building 7, but at 5:20 p.m. on September 11th, it collapsed in a heap on the ground. Some damage to Building 7 is said to have been caused by debris from Tower 1. Though this New York Times article tells us Building 7 burned like a giant torch, the only visuals that exist are of unidentified smoke and a few small fires. Compare this to the wallops sustained by World Trade Center 3, 4, 5, and 6. Positioned right below the towers, damage to the surrounding World Trade Center buildings was infinitely worse. Still, the structures held up. But somehow, rescue workers knew that Building 7 would fall.
You hear that?
Keep your eye on that building. It'll be coming down soon.
A 47-story skyscraper, Building 7 folded neatly in 6.5 seconds, a textbook descent right into its footprint. Silverstein Properties now tells us that its owner was referring to the team of firefighters inside the building when he spoke of the decision to pulling the firemen out of harm's way. However, there were no firefighters in Building 7, according to FEMA, NIST, and Fire Chief Frank Fellini. They were ordered out at 11:30 that morning. 6 hours later, the building came down. Radio host Alex Jones notes the mark of a classic implosion.
This is a photo taken 1 second into Building 7's collapse. Notice the crimp. If we look at other controlled demolitions, we see that they first blow one of the central columns so the building falls in on itself. If you don't do this, the building falls outward and can damage surrounding structures. Building 7 had a classic crimp or wedge. Its central column was blown out first, so it didn't structurally damage buildings just a few feet away from it.
So there it is, World Trade Center Building 7. And how did that come down? We know that this thing was a setup. But we'll talk more about a lot of these issues down the road. Do you have any comments about that 9/11 at World Trade Center Building 7?
Well, I was told, and I don't know how true it was, that a lot of the Jewish families that worked in that building that day, none of them was there that day when it happened. Now, I don't know how true this is, but this is what the word is.
Well, it was a lot of people, not just Jewish people, for some of the Jewish people. But if you know in advance that those buildings are going to be blown up, you wouldn't show up for work either.
Right.
So we know that they knew in advance, or the people I know knew, because I'm part of the 9/11 Truth group.
Okay.
2,000 architects and engineers say it didn't happen the way the government said it happened. So you'll learn a lot of stuff on the Leslie Davis Show with Kelvin Burns, and we'll be back next week to tell you a little more. Kelvin, thanks a lot for being with me on this.
Thanks for having me.
See you all.